Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. It's National Wish Fulfillment Day, Tone. Do you have any wishes you'd like fulfilled?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. World peace, good fortune, an effective topical ointment for this thing that's growing on my thigh. I could use that.
All right. We're starting the family show here.
I think that's funny. An effective topical ointment. That's a good name for a rock and roll band. An effective topical ointment. I like that. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Red Sox deal Rafael Devers. The Pacers and Thunder are back on the court, and Shohei Ohtani is back on the mound. But we begin today with J.J. Spawn winning his first major in the rain at Oakmont. Spawn finished -1 after birdieing 17 and 18 to counteract a string of bogeys on his front nine. Spawn was the only golfer under par, so in that sense, Oakmont won. Wilbon, you watched all of it, as did I. What is your reaction to what Spawn did and how he finished it?
Tony, it was a scream out loud reaction for me at least 3 times in the final 7 or 8 holes for J.J. Spawn. I mean, the 40-foot birdie putt, I think it was on 12, which I was on the phone with you, and I'm just screaming out loud by myself in my house. And then the drive, you know, in 17, 314 yards to the pin, and he goes driver, and everybody, it seemed like 90% of guys had gone driver, and they wind up in the 5.5-inch rough, or they wind up in one of the bunkers, and they can't make it work. They certainly don't wind up putting for eagle like he did and tapping in for birdie, and then the putt to win it. I mean, just all of it. And Tony, it's juxtaposed to hitting the flagstick and having it bounce 60 yards away where you got to wedge back to a shot that could have gone in. It just all of it. And then his demeanor. It's all about him for me. And the other people played central roles. When the thing started, I was rooting for Adam Scott. I was rooting for him for much of the weekend. But his demeanor and talking about what he had to do, waking up at 3 a.m. to go to CVS to look for something to help his daughter who wasn't feeling well overnight, his infant daughter. All of it, just who he was and who he revealed himself to be. I'm in love with the story, Tone, every inch of it.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a while here, and I'm going to talk about things I believe in. I believe that they were very late in calling the golf off for the first time. When it was raining, it was pounding rain. There was ponding on the greens. There was water in the fairways. I believe they were late on that. I believe they should have done it a second time as well, and they should have finished that tournament today. And I believe that the USGA did not want that to happen because they wanted that Father's Day audience on television between the hours of 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. with no competition at all from the NHL or the NBA. I believe that Sam Burns was hosed on that decision to make him play from water that you could see. You could see the ball was in water. I believe it cost Sam Burns his chance to win the tournament because when he birdied 10, I thought he was going to win the tournament. And I believed that J.J. Spawn was hopelessly out of it. He bogeyed 5 of the first 6 holes. He was done, put a fork in him, get out of here. I believe that. And having said all that, Mike, I also believed that the U.S. Open got a worthy champion, a deserving champion. Spawn won this. Nobody lost it. He won it. He was -3 on the back. He birdied 17 and 18 to win a major. You know how many people have done that? Very few is the correct answer. And I think that ultimately, Mike, I think that putt, 50, 60, 70 feet, whatever it was, the fact that it went in erased all the bad memories that anybody could have had about the decisions that were made leading up to that. And they got, NBC and the USGA got their Father's Day gift because he's there with his wife and his kids, and his dad is there. He gets all of it. So, the
drama was great.
So you and we're in accord. We are in accord on that. Let's move to Game 5 of the NBA Finals tonight, Indiana at Oklahoma City. The series is tied 2-2 after Indiana squandered a fourth-quarter lead in Game 4. They were outscored 31-17 in that quarter. Each team has won on the other's home court. Wilbon, which team is under more pressure to win tonight?
I think OKC, But, Tone, the thing about the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Final is I don't know anymore. I mean, the wild swings, the unpredictability of it, the drama, if you will. I don't know. I'm just going to sit and enjoy it. I don't want to pick it. But I think Oklahoma City is, because I don't think you want to go back to Hoosier land having to win to stave off elimination when you're the favorite, when you have been in control of the season, and to some small, tiny degree, the finals at this point, 2-2 with home court advantage. And Tony, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he and Halliburton, has it been a standoff? Kinda. But there was, I'm going to say this, and you know how tough it is for me to go here. There's been a Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant-like quality to some of the things Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has done. When you're behind and you hit that step-back three, and then you come back with that, you're staggering, you're about to fall, you get that two, maybe you pushed off, maybe you didn't, I don't care. There are moments of that look like championship basketball to me from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who looks like the perfect star, not just a great star, the perfect star, but you got to cash it in to finalize that.
Yeah, so I've been wrong, consistently wrong on this series. I thought that Oklahoma City would win 4 games in a row after they lost game 1, and instead they won 1 in a row because then Indiana won game 3. Now, I did think that Oklahoma City would win game 4, so I was right about that. And I will pick them to win tonight based on what I have said throughout the entire playoffs, which is that they've been the best team in the NBA all season. They have been the best team. But in terms of who's under more pressure, so if Indiana loses, they're down 3-2 and they face elimination. But if Oklahoma City loses, they're down 3-2 and they face elimination, and they face it at Indiana. Yeah, they've already won in Indiana, but these are the NBA Finals. How many road games do you think you're going to win? What if you're only going to win 1? So, I sort of think it's a coin flip as to who's under the most pressure. I will say this, though. If Oklahoma City wins tonight, Indiana will rue that fourth quarter. I mean, They had it on their racket, Mike. They had it on their racket. They made 1 basket in the last 5 minutes. They scored 1 point in the last 3 minutes. They missed all 8 of the threes they took in the fourth quarter. They melted down. And if they lose this series, it goes back to that, I think.
Probably does. Agreed, Tone. No disagreement there. And now to a big move by the Boston Red Sox. Sox traded Rafael Devers to San Francisco for 2 players and 2 prospects. Devers had been unhappy since the Sox moved him off third base to make way for Alex Bregman, but he'd been hitting well as a DH, 15 homers and the 3rd most RBI in all of baseball at 58. Tone, what does this deal tell you about the Sox, and what does it tell you about the Giants?
Okay, so I don't think anybody who follows baseball can be surprised that Rafael Devers was traded. They traded him out of the American League. They traded him as far away in the country as you could go, and they said, good riddance, get out. I think this is a great trade for San Francisco. As you mentioned, he's got, after a terrible start, he's got the 3rd most RBI in all of baseball. He is a power hitter. This is a remarkable number. I don't like numbers, but the last time the Giants had a player who hit 30 homers, not 40, not 50, 30 home runs in a year was Barry Bonds 21 years ago. So they desperately need a power-hitting guy, which Devers is. I think it's a really good trade for them. Plus, it's a very competitive division, and he's got star power like sort of the guys on the Dodgers have star power. I don't know what it does for the Red Sox, Mike. I'm struggling to figure it out. They traded Mookie Betts. It was a terrible trade. They replaced him with Devers. Now they traded Devers. I don't know. They appear lost.
Well,
they appear lost
the prospects have to be a lot better than they've been to this point. The prospects have to cash in there. And teams often do that. We look back at trades 6, 8, 11, 20 years earlier, and we go, oh, how'd they get this guy? And you come in a trade like this, but it's not particularly promising at this point for Red Sox Nation if you're sort of listening to what is coming out of New England and the disappointment they have. The Mookie Betts situation is what compounds it. And to me, Devers ain't Betts. All right? Betts is an MVP. Devers is not that. He's not that level. But to get rid of both of them suggests you're like some mid-market team and you don't have the money and you don't want to do it. Everybody says, well, they owe him $200 and whatever million by 2033. So what is the Red Sox? But the Giants, Tony, more importantly for now, and you're right about Bonds, of course, I know that number I do care about. It ain't something 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, and 5. That's home runs in a lineup. And San Francisco, I think, was third fewest runs produced in baseball this year. You got to fix that now in that division with Arizona, the Padres, and the Dodgers, and they sought to do it with one big move.
Absolutely. It feels today like a big win for Buster Posey running the Giants.
Yes.
We don't know, but it feels like a big win. Let's take a break. Coming up, Shohei is back on the mound tonight. What is reasonable to expect?
And does a Desmond Bain trade say more about the Grizzlies or the Magic?
Do you feel the same way I do? I couldn't take my eyes off the Open. I couldn't take my eyes off.
I watched every swing. I watched every swing. Yeah.
It was theater.
No, it was irresistible.
Time to give opinions to the minions in mail time. Let me see what's first here. Start with this. Glasses on. What are reasonable expectations for Shohei Ohtani's return to the mound tonight?
Tony, you know, it's interesting when you sort of read and listen to what people expect. And I know he's been doing these simulated sessions. I went into this thinking when I heard the announcement that he was going to pitch tonight, I was thinking, well, maybe, 2 to 3 innings, but it sounds like less than that. It sounds like an inning. They just want to get him out there, and they've got to get over this. And it might seem ceremonial at some point, but, they're counting on him. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to make any roster adjustments because he's already on the roster. So it's not like they got to call somebody up and demote somebody and have a slot. No, they don't need to do any of that. The Dodgers want to see Shohei out there. They've got this movement of pitchers based on all the injuries. This has been going on for a couple of years now, and it's already included Shohei. So, but just to get him out there, I don't know. What am I supposed to get? 26 pitches and, 19 for strikes and a certain velocity. I don't know what it is they're looking for. I just think the notion of seeing the great Shohei out on the mound again for the first time in nearly 2 years there's great value in that.
Yeah, so, I think the first question you have to answer is he ready to pitch? Is his arm okay? That to me is a big thing. I don't expect him to pitch more than, 1 inning or 20 pitches. Maybe if he has a clean inning and it's 10 pitches, you put him out there for the second to begin the second because you can bring in a reliever anytime you want. But, Mike, I don't personally expect him to have a clean inning. The questions you answer are, does he have command of his pitches? Does his ball move? Do you see it move? Can he throw strikes? What we are seeing is a laboratory experiment right in front of our eyes because you can't throw bullpen the whole time. You got to go out on the mound.
Right.
You have to go
do
live
hitting. Live hitting.
His record is fabulous. 38-19 with a 3.01 ERA in all the times he's pitched. He had 608 strikeouts in 481 innings. Can he be that again? I don't know. I want to see the beginnings of it.
We're not going to find out that tonight.
The Magic.
The Magic. Because in the East, you can make a move, and Orlando was already making one with Banchero and Franz Wagner. Those guys, one is an all-star, and the other one's going to be an all-star. And then you get Desmond Bain, who can be that. And Orlando struggled in that area, and they get a guy who can both shoot volume of threes and do a lot of other things and hit 40% of them, but he can also defend. He can put the ball on the floor, as you see, and it gives them a core four. I mentioned Wagner and Banchero and Suggs when healthy, and they got 4 guys who are a core. They're not a finished team yet. But when you got Boston and Milwaukee in flux, and you're going to be behind initially the Knicks, Cleveland, Indy, and the Pistons, it still moves you up depending on what the Celtics and Milwaukee become. You move up into the mix. And who knows what Memphis is going to do because you got a guy who's a complete and utter wild card in Ja Morant. You can't count on him. You don't know what you can do with him. So right now, it's Orlando and Anthony Parker. Yeah. The GM, good job out of him. And Jamal Mosley, the coach. I like what Orlando's doing. Love what Orlando's doing.
Right. So you say the answer is the Magic, and then I say too much Magic. My answer is it means more and says more about the Grizzlies. And I would remind people, Mike, that you had the Grizzlies in the Western Conference Finals for
when
most
they were in
of this
second
season.
seed. When they were in second
That's
seed.
right. So, okay. So they fired their coach with 9 games to go, and now they have traded their second best player. So it says to me, we're not counting on the present. We're counting on the future here. Maybe they want to take these draft picks and build a team around Ja Morant rather than blame Ja Morant for the mess that they're in, which they could do, by the way. They could blame Ja Morant for all this stuff. I think it's a good trade for Orlando because of the threes. I think that's a good thing. And I would just say this in closing, that Memphis probably got more for Desmond Bane than the Red Sox got for Rafael Devers. Enough email. Let's take one last break. Still to come. An Arkansas pitcher does something that hadn't been done since 65 years ago.
And Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese both put up big numbers in wins this weekend. Third best player, Tony. You got to put Jaren Jackson after Ja.
I do. I have to. With the numbers that Bane had?
Defensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year gives you some stats. I love Desmond Bane. I take him. I'll take him right now. I'm just saying. Triple J.
They need big people in Orlando. They need happy 26th birthday, Justin Jefferson. The Vikings wide receiver had 103 receptions last year for 1,533 yards and 10 touchdowns. Jefferson averaged 14.9 yards per catch. He was Offensive Player of the Year in 2022 and was first-team All-Pro that year and this past year. At LSU, Jefferson teamed with Jamar Chase, and they caught passes from Joe Burrow. In their undefeated national championship season, Jefferson had 116 catches for 1,540 yards and 18 of Burrow's 60 touchdown passes. The overarching question for the Vikings offense is how will it work now that Sam Darnold has left for Seattle? Will J.J. McCarthy find Jefferson the way that Darnold did?
Tony, if you think I crossed the line earlier in the show by mentioning SGA in the same breath as Kobe and MJ, I'm going to do it again. Justin Jefferson is the only guy, a lot of great receivers, but I look at him and sometimes I think of Jerry Rice. Sometimes there are just some moments he plays up to that incredible level. Jerry Rice, the gold standard. Justin Jefferson may be that in the league full of great receivers now.
Agreed. Happy anniversary, Mario Soto and Claudell Washington. This is posthumous for Washington, but on this day 41 years ago, after getting brushed back in a previous at-bat, Washington let go of his bat while swinging on the first pitch from Soto. Instead of retrieving the bat, Washington approached the mound to confront Soto. As they were about to go at it, Soto threw the ball at Washington from about 5 feet away. Umpire Lanny Harris got the worst of the entire exchange as he was knocked down early on as he tried to stop the fray. Now, we concede this is probably not socially redemptive to celebrate this behavior, but it is terrific video.
Yeah, and I'm sure he places yet another, what could be another Michael Jordan anniversary. Tony, I'm just glad that those brawls are largely removed from baseball and largely removed from the NHL. And just we don't need them. Not just the video, we don't need the activity.
Happy trails, Trinidad and Tobago. The U.S. men's national soccer team responded to last week's alarm by pasting Trinidad and Tobago 5-0 in both teams' Gold Cup opener. The Americans are ranked 16th in the world and the Soca Warriors are just 100th. But a win's a win. And this one ends Team USA's longest losing streak in nearly 20 years. Next up, Saudi Arabia on Thursday, followed by Haiti on Sunday. Taylor Twellman told us last week it's a disappointment if the United States does not make the Gold Cup finals.
Well, so there could be less hysteria from those looking for results from Team USA, at least for a few days.
We would also like to note the passing of Tom Howard. Our friend, the original director of PTI, passed away yesterday. Tom called the shots in the control room of this show from day one until he retired at the beginning of 2022. Tom made everything here look so good for so long, creating a playbook for the show and setting a standard we will try to live up to without him. Our love and deepest condolences to his family. Let's go to the big finish if we could. Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals are reportedly talking. That's significant, isn't it?
Only if they get a deal, an extension, or whatever you want to call it, a redo, Tone. He's been the sack guy for the last 2 years. They need him. Arkansas's Gage Wood threw a no-hitter with 19 strikeouts against Murray State in the College World Series today. Got to be impressed.
It was the first no-hitter in the College World Series in 65 years. My notes say that he hit a batter, and there was one error, and that's how people got on. Caitlin Clark had 32 in her return win against the Liberty, and Angel Reese had a triple-double in a Sky win over the Sun, which is the bigger deal.
I've done enough Hoosier slurping lately. It's a bigger deal for the Sky, who need the win more. Bigger deal to this person in Chicago. The Nats have lost 8 straight, but have the Rockies coming into town tonight. Drought over?
So 10, 12 days ago, the Rockies beat the Marlins in a series. I think they beat them 3-0 in games. The Marlins just came into Washington over the weekend, and they swept the Nats. So I don't know that the drought is over. I don't. Last one, DC Defenders won the UFL title beating the Michigan Panthers. How are you going to remember that?
UFL, is that like the United Fighting League? I don't really know what's... Tony, I think I got OKC at home in this game, but this series has gone in directions. Look, I had Indiana winning game 4 at home, and they did not. The Pacers did not, even though I thought they should have won that game. They got sort of almost control of it at 10 points. I remember that lead was 86-76. And I thought, okay, they still need to further this. This thing needs to be 12 or 14. And they slowed it down. It's like they got tired. And OKC appeared to be the tired team in game 3. Indiana appeared to be the tired team in game 4. Who's going to manage that best in game 5? Which coach? And these two coaches, to me, have just been great. Who's going to assist his team more in that endeavor? What's going to happen with OKC? Are they going to be able to keep SGA fresh late in the game by using J-Dub on the ball more? There are all these sort of subtleties in this series that are probably going to determine tonight's winner. I'm going to go with OKC, but man, don't ask me my confidence level because it ain't great.
Yeah, I'm going to say Oklahoma City as well, and I have no conviction. No, I have none, because I've been wrong, as you know, on virtually every single game in this series. And so why would I think that I'd be right about this? The reason I like Oklahoma City is because I think they've been a little bit better. As great as Indiana has been from January 1st on, there's one team that's been a little bit better, and that is Oklahoma City. Let's go back to Game 4 for a second. At the end of Game 4, that fourth quarter, I think the number that was used, Oklahoma City, I think, outscored Indiana 31-17 in the fourth quarter. I'm sure of the rest of these numbers. Indiana scored 1 basket in the last. They're at home. They scored 1 basket in the last 5 minutes. They scored 1 point in the last 3 minutes. They missed all 8 of their threes in that particular quarter. So to me, it was on their racket. They could have had it. They could have won. If they win that game, they go up 3-1, they're going to win the series. And they gave that one away, it seemed to me. And so that's the reason that I guess I'm going with Oklahoma City, that they will take the gift from Indiana and run with it.
Yeah, they, like you said, Tony, I agree. They've just been a little bit better. And you know what that difference probably is? Having the MVP. Because he played up to it in that fourth quarter, maybe when others didn't quite do it or couldn't quite get there. He did. And that's sort of, talk about confirmation. If you believe that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the MVP of the season, you get your confirmation right now. That's it. We're done. Back to you.
Let's go to the men's college.